Testing out different types of content can be a great way to figure out what type of content really resonates with your audience. Whether it's new formats, new subjects, new topics, you never know until you try, so that's why it's so important to continue to experiment with new types of content. But how do you go about experimenting? How do you go about testing in an effective and logical way? Well, in this video, I'm here to share some tips on just how to go about testing out new types of content. So number one is research your audience. Now, as a business, as a brand, you should already have some sort of sense on what your target audience is. What are their pain points? What do they like? What are their hobbies? Where do they live? What does their income look like? All these different characteristics will help you determine what type of person they are and therefore what type of content that they like. So you want to make sure whatever type of content you're experimenting with, you're testing out, it fits their interests and it fits what they would consume. So the reason why you want to fully understand your target audience is because it can set you up for success on creating content that resonates with your target audience and hopefully guarantees that they will engage and comment and like that new content. So number two, it's important to start small when you're testing out new types of content. You don't want to put a bunch of resources, money, time, and effort into creating new pieces of content that you don't even know really resonate with your audience yet. So that's why it's so important to start really small with testing and experimenting with new types of content. So number three is leveraging user-generated content. So this could be loyal fans wanting to help out the brand, creating content, or even getting a discount code to create some content, or this could be working with influencers. But either way, you're able to observe how those pieces of content perform on their accounts. And then from there, you can determine if it's worth your team and your time to create more of that type of content. So for example, let's say an influencer posts some sort of like makeup tutorial or something using one of your products. That can be a really good indicator. Okay, this format of content is doing really well. Let's experiment with posting similar types of videos and see how those perform in the long run. So number four is monitor performance. So when you are testing out new pieces of content, it's that much more important to look at the stats, look at the performance, how many likes, how many saves, how many comments, what's the follower growth look like, and really be attuned to how those posts are performing, because then with that data and that information, then you can start to determine, okay, we should be doubling down on this type of content and then scaling back on this type of content. So you can make a really smart decision based on the metrics, based on the performance, and then hopefully create more of this really good performing content, and then you can see your account continue to grow. So number five is be consistent. When you're posting on social media, you should be consistent anyways, but especially when you're testing out new pieces of content, you should be consistent and methodical about how you go about testing content. So whether that's throwing in a new piece of content every 2 weeks and observing how it performs, and then maybe at the end of 3 months, you gather up all the data, look at the metrics, and then you start to figure out, okay, let's add this new type of content into our content pillars or our content bucket for the next maybe 3 to 6 months. We'll continue to observe performance, but we know that based on the data, based on past performance, this type of content's doing really well and driving a lot of action with our target audience. So there you have the tactics on how to go about experimenting with new types of content, kind of how to approach it, how to measure it, how to track it, and then how to implement it into your new content strategy. So that's how I typically go about creating content and experimenting with content for new brands and businesses. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.